Hello and welcome to this MySQL tutorial. In this tutorial what we're going to be doing is showing you how to create users and grant privileges to those users using the MySQL terminal or using the terminal with MySQL. Okay, I'm in Linux, but potentially it doesn't actually matter whether you're in Linux or Windows. It's all down to the MySQL commands. So first of all, what we want to do is use the MySQL command to log in. So I'm just going to say -u with root and then -p and then supply my password and then just press Ctrl L to clear the screen slightly. And okay, so what I want to do first of all is list all the users which are in the database. So I'll just say select host and user from MySQL user, and that will do. Okay, now we can see that there's only two users in there at the moment, two being root and then each root having a different host. So I want to add my own user, me being David, into the database with all the privileges which root has on localhost. Okay, therefore I don't have to use the root login all the time. I can just use my name and everything is fine. Okay, so what's the command that we need to give? Okay, the command we need to give is create user, and then it's followed then by the user's name, and then we need to give the @ sign, okay, because this needs to be at which host. Now it's completely important that you also then give the single quotes as well, followed by the @ sign and then the host as well. In this case we're going to be using the local host, and then we're going to say identified by and then a password. Okay, and with inside of the single quotes we're going to give the password ended by a semicolon. That then puts the user into the database. Now if we then just get rid of this and issue this command once again, you can see now that I'm in the database under with the host of localhost. Now this doesn't really do anything, okay? It doesn't give me any access to any databases, any tables, anything whatsoever. I can't do anything at all without some privileges. Therefore we need to grant David some privileges to do something. Now this is done with the grant command. Now you have grant is the actual command that we're going to execute, but followed by that is all. Now in this scenario, in this tutorial, we're just adding users. Okay, I'm going to do another tutorial about privileges in that, but in order to give yourself like a super user, this is giving yourself the highest super user that there is in MySQL. We say grant all. All means every single privilege that there is minus one. Okay, and that one privilege which they won't get is grants. Okay, but we can get by that, and we can add it even further by using another command. Okay, next thing which we need to say is that we're granting all privileges on which database and which table. Okay, so we're going to say we can use a star as a wildcard to say every single database, followed by a dot, which would then because you always separate databases and tables with a dot, so you say the database first, followed by a dot, then the table which is on that one database. Now I want myself, David, to have full privileges on every single database and on every single table. Therefore we're going to say star dot star. Okay, so it's giving me privileges on everything. These are then wildcards for both database and tables. Now we need to say to. By the way, you don't have to do capital letters here. You can do it all in lowercase, but just for the sake of doing this tutorial I'm going to do capital letters. To, and then we supply the name. Once again, as we did with creating the user, we put it in single quotes, put the user's name, followed by the @ sign, followed by then the host. The host is important because we're going to have to add more than one user into the database, because firstly I want one on localhost, then later I want one on the static IP address of this one server, and then I might want one on then the loopback address as well. So then that's this bit done. And next we want to do is we want to add the grant option. Okay, and what we say is with grants option afterwards. Right, and that's basically it. So this bit is going to this bit is going to give the grant option, and this bit is going to give select, insert, update, delete, and so on, and create all of the other commands which you can think about within MySQL. It's going to give everything minus the grants. This final bit is the final tick in the box, which is going to give everything. Okay, that then goes in, query OK, 0 rows affected. Okay, so we now need to say flush privileges, and then we should do it in capital letters, but okay, that's all okay. Now basically we can sign out from this, log out from this, just by saying quit, redo this, and then say MySQL P, and then say password. Okay, and as you can see, we're now in the database, and we can say create database David home. So we've got the database in, and we can then say create user, say James at localhost, identified by password again, all really strong passwords obviously. There we go, and then we can say grant all on all to James at localhost, and even then say even with grant option, even with grant option. There we go, done. And then we'll just say flush privileges again. Done. We can log out of this, exit, and now we can log in with MySQL once again, and we'll say James, and then our mighty strong password, which I put in wrong. Okay, there we go. And as you can see, select host user from MySQL users. As you can see, there's 3 users in there. I mean, potentially, just to show you how strong this one user is that considering that David made James and gave James all privileges, well, you know, now James is simply going to say drop user, and it's going to say David at localhost. It's done, and we can come out of here, we can quit out of here, and then we can now let's just do this. We can now just come back in as me, and with my mighty strong password. As you can see, I can't even log in now, right, which is a bit of a bummer actually, because it means that I can't actually even get into the database, which is crazy. But if I then go in as then root and password, and my mighty strong password again, which I keep typing in wrong. Okay, and now we can just add these privileges back on. So create user, that one there, yep, and then grant all to me. Okay, so there, grant all to me, done, and then flush privileges, however you spell it. Okay, done. So that's basically it. That's adding users. So as you saw there, we can say then drop user, and then you have to give the fully qualified name of the user. In other words, the full host, and also then the username. Okay, that will then drop the user properly, and then you can just say flush privileges again to make sure everything gets reloaded, and it's all done. Okay, so that's creating a user. Also then granting privileges to the user. Potentially it's a super user that you're granting privileges to. I'm going to do another tutorial about grants later in the next couple of tutorials. Okay, but first of all, I just wanted to emphasize the fact that this is about creating users rather than granting. But potentially, in order to create a user, you have to grant them privileges as well, so it kind of goes hand in hand together. Although the grant option does need a little bit more explanation, so as you understand it a little bit more. but I didn't want to use it too much in this one tutorial. Anyway, enough of me rambling. I hope that you enjoyed this one tutorial. I hope that you got something out of it. Right, it's not very often that people, beginners, let's say, newbies to MySQL, use the terminal to create users and grant privileges. Now, if you are new to MySQL, take the time to learn it now. These commands, learn them now, because it's going to be so much better for you in the future if you can use the terminal, because it's a lot faster in the long run. Once you start getting to grips with all of these commands, it's just like typing out sentences, and it's really easy. Okay, you just need to know a little bit of the syntax, and once you can, then you're off and running. Right, that's enough from me. Look forward to the next tutorial, and I hope you have a nice evening. Comment on the video if you like it, if there's something missing, something you didn't understand, something which maybe I went over too quickly, or too slow. Subscribe if you want to, like it if you want to, do whatever it is that you want, but the most important thing is the fact that you've learnt something. If you haven't learnt something, then you need to let me know. That's the only thing that is important to me. Okay, thank you. Right, I'm off. My name's David Thorne, Thorne Web Design. Bye bye.